Well, it is almost the end of summer. I've been kind of cleaning up my shop lately, cleaning up the garage a little bit, doing a little reorganizing, trying to make it a nicer place for the winter. And I am gearing up for my next project, which is sitting right there. Now, why would I go out and buy a 20-year-old Blazer? Well, I'll get to that in a minute. First, I just want kind of getting the Rockcrawler here ready for Labor Day. That's a holiday weekend that's coming up. A lot of people come rock crawling in town in Montrose. Anyway, I'm kind of going through some maintenance. I had a bad drive shaft bearing. Also probably need to do a little work, change this mount a little bit, the location, because it's wearing out bearings prematurely. It must be a little out of angle. Anyway, one regret I always had was not doing a series of YouTube videos when I built this Rockcrawler 2 years ago. It was a really neat project. The chassis was designed by Ultra 4 racer Paul Horschel, and he designed the entire thing on computer and had everything all laser cut, and we built it on a jig table at his shop and put together probably 80% of the chassis at his shop. Then I brought it back and I just kind of finished what welding we didn't get done there and such here in my garage. Anyway, it was a neat project. It would have been really fun series of videos to make, but at the time I just had too much going on to deal with video editing and stuff as well. So anyway, for my next project, I am going to make a series of videos over the whole project. I think it's going to be a really fun project. I'm excited for it. It should be a good time. Anyway, that leaves me where we're at right now. This is a 2001 Chevy Blazer, and I just picked it up, Craigslist special. I picked it up for the motor and transmission. It's got a 4.3 motor and a 4L60 transmission, which is what I plan to use in the next Rockcrawler that I'm building. I've got plans for a new Rockcrawler. This one I want to do a little different. I've got some different ideas for axles and stuff like that. We'll see if I can get a hold of any. Anyway, at the time, this is what I'm starting with this Blazer, the 4.3 4L60. I found this Blazer on Craigslist, and it was a great deal. I've been researching used motors. I've been researching all kinds of stuff, and I found that it was just a better deal to go pick up this Blazer. And you know, this guy was selling this for like $500 with a running motor and transmission, when I couldn't even find a motor, let alone the ECU and transmission, for anything under like $1,300 or something on eBay. Now, at least in this, I don't have to deal with shipping and all that stuff. I go pick it up from the person. It wasn't running when he was there, so he gave it to me for even a little bit cheaper, but I was able to crank it over, and we kind of got it running a little bit. But anyway, there were no weird bottom end noises or anything like that going on. When I got it home, I realized he had the mass airflow and some other stuff disconnected, so I hooked everything back up and I got it running. It idles good. It has good oil pressure. Seems to be a good motor. Hopefully it'll be a good one for this project. If not, I'm not into it very much because I got a transmission and the ECU out of it. Those are two kind of separate things that you have to buy when ordering them online. So anyway, that's why I went ahead and bought this whole Blazer. I could see that it runs, could see that the transmission works, see that everything's working. I'm going to pull the motor out of it. I'm going to pull the transmission out of it and then get those set aside and then essentially build the chassis around those. So that's my plan for this next project. What I'm going to make to them, I've got this Dana 300 transfer case that I recently just went and picked up from a local guy not far from Montrose here in Delta, Colorado. So I'm going to have to take this thing apart, completely tear it down, go through it, replace all the seals, all that kind of stuff. And I'm also going to have to change out the input and get some different adapters to mate this to a 4L60. So we're going to go ahead and fire this thing up real quick. Oops, the hood fell down. Let's try this again. Yep, she fired up. It's running. It's got good oil pressure. Let's see. So I have been working on the Blazer, working on pulling the motor and transmission, and I got to the point I've almost got it loose, and now I have to, looks like I have to take the front differential out because the oil pan's hitting it as I try to pull it forward. So I thought I almost had it out, thought it was about ready to go, but it is not. So I gotta keep fighting with this thing. The transmission, I pulled the transfer case, got the transfer case right here, and I was gonna pull the transmission, but I can't quite get to the top bolt. There's really not much room. I'm sure there's a way to do it, but it's a real hassle. Anyway, this thing would just be a bear to work on if you had to do any kind of major maintenance. Even after I pulled the fenders and everything off the front of this, there's still almost no room on this thing. It's a bear to work on. So chipping away, trying to make progress here. Just want to get these motor out and transmission and get them degreased and cleaned up, and then get this thing out of here, take this to scrap, and kind of clean up my shop again, because it's made quite the mess just pulling this all apart. Like, look at this, just how much dirt gunk was on everything. There's a small oil leak that somebody tried fixing with just some sort of bag of kitty litter or something, instead of just fixing it. Anyway, it made a mess on everything, so this is real fun to work on. Everything's just caked with a thin layer of oil and dirt. So I just will keep continuing to chip through there, trying to get everything out of here, and then I'll have to get everything cleaned up. The good thing is the oil leak's not on the motor, or the transmission cooler leak, whichever it was. So anyway, the motor and transmission look fine, although I might get the transmission rebuilt. This transmission fluid was looking pretty dark, so I'll have to look into that a little bit farther. So anyway, just continuing to chip away on this. So I just about got this motor pulled loose. It took me way longer than it really should have. It was in there. I had to pull the whole front diff and the CVs and everything to get it out of there, because it was blocking the oil pan from coming out. I don't know, maybe there was another way, maybe someone knows a better way, but anyway, that's what I had to do. So I'm at the point, I have a couple more hoses got to disconnect, linkages and such, and got the transmission right there. The transfer case is down there, so the transmission's still on it. It's leaking fluid all over my floor, of course. Anyway, gonna get this thing up and out of here, and keep moving on. Try and get this all pulled out and get this motor out of here, get it degreased, and kind of start looking it over.